New details on the life and shocking death of Aaliyah. In an Oz Show exclusive, the superstar singer's uncle is here revealing the inside story of her tragic loss.
Aaliyah's last words to her boyfriend left a chilling message that has stunned fans for years. "If I die, Beyonce did it." Just days later, Aaliyah tragically died in a plane crash, leaving behind questions and suspicions that refuse to fade. People still wonder, was this really an accident, or was there something far more sinister at play? Tune in as we dive deeper into this tangled web of fame, power, and dark warning. Aaliyah and Beyonce's parallel paths. Aaliyah was a rising star with a lot of talent, and many thought she could have been one of the biggest names in music. However, her life was tragically cut short by a plane crash in 2001. Some fans still wonder what would have happened if she had lived. Would Beyonce have become as big as she is today? This leads to speculation that she could have been a major competitor for Beyonce if things had turned out differently. While the crash was a tragedy that had nothing to do with competition, people still wonder about how things might have been. As thoughts linger on what might have been, a recently uncovered track featuring Aaliyah's vocals promises to stir the airwaves once more. Lana Del Rey, known for her unique music style, also hinted at this pressure. She once said she delayed her album release to avoid it coming out at the same time as Beyonce's. It shows how even established artists are cautious about going up against someone as influential as Beyonce. It's clear that Beyonce's presence can make even big names think twice about timing their projects. Fans have wondered why she hasn't released more music. Could it be that she felt it was tough to compete directly with Beyonce in the same space? Let's not forget about Adele, who has spoken highly of Beyonce on several occasions. When Adele won the Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards, she seemed uncomfortable and even said that Beyonce's album Lemonade should have won. After this, Adele announced that she would be taking a break from music. It left many people asking, could the pressure of competing with such a powerful figure as Beyonce have played a role in that decision? It's worth noting that Beyonce's rise to the top wasn't just about music. She's known for breaking new ground, not just musically but also through her visuals, her surprise album releases, and her focus on empowering women and speaking out on social issues. This makes her a dominant force in both the music industry and pop culture. So what does this all mean for other female artists? Many people believe that the music world has become more challenging because of Beyonce's success. While each artist has their own reasons for taking a break or stepping away from the spotlight, it's possible that Beyonce's massive influence plays a part in it. At the same time, we have to remember that there are always multiple factors involved when artists step back. Some may want to explore other passions, like Rihanna with her business ventures, or Adele, who may have needed a personal break. Yet the influence of a figure as big as Beyonce is always in the background, shaping the industry and how other artists navigate their careers. Isn't it interesting to think about how much impact one artist can have on an entire industry? Even artists who are hugely successful in their own right, like Rihanna or Katy Perry, seem to be affected by the presence of someone like Beyonce. Many well-known female musicians have stepped away from the spotlight, and there is a lot of talk about whether Beyonce's enormous success may have played a role. While it's hard to know the exact reasons for these decisions, Beyonce's incredible influence on the music industry is undeniable. Her impact has made it difficult for other artists to maintain their position, leading to speculation that some may have chosen to step aside rather than directly compete. Let's explore how stars like Katy Perry handle the spotlight's shift. Katy Perry's climb and decline in Beyonce's shadow. There's another interesting discussion around Katy Perry, who rose to fame with songs like Teenage Dream and Firework. At one point, she even surpassed Beyonce on the charts, making her one of the most successful pop stars of the time. However, after that major success, Katy's chart performance began to wane. Some people believe that competing with someone as dominant as Beyonce may have affected her ability to maintain her position. It's possible that the pressure of competing with such a huge figure made it harder for Katy to keep up her momentum. Then we have Lana Del Rey, who is known for her deep, cinematic sound and unique approach to music. Lana once hinted that she delayed one of her album releases because she didn't want it to come out at the same time as Beyonce's. This shows how even established artists are cautious about going head-to-head with someone as powerful and influential as Beyonce. While Lana's music is very different from Beyonce's, it still demonstrates the immense influence Beyonce has over the music industry as a whole. Rihanna's case is also quite striking. She's one of the biggest names in music and had a close working relationship with Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z. Rihanna enjoyed massive success with her music, especially after the release of her album Anti in 2016. However, since then, she has largely stepped away from the music scene, focusing instead on her successful fashion and beauty businesses. Many fans have wondered why she hasn't released any new music in recent years. Could it be that Rihanna, like others, feels the pressure of competing with Beyonce in the music industry? While there's no definitive answer, it's a possibility that fans have discussed at length. Another interesting moment was when Adele won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. While accepting her award, Adele seemed genuinely uncomfortable, going so far as to say that she thought Beyonce's album, Lemonade, deserved to win instead. Adele's praise for Beyonce was so effusive that it left many wondering if she felt overshadowed by Beyonce's talent and influence. Shortly after this, Adele announced she would be taking a break from music, which led to even more speculation. Could it be that the pressure of competing with Beyonce, especially in such a high-profile setting, contributed to her decision to step away? Beyonce's success isn't just about her music. She has transformed the industry in many ways. From her surprise album drops to her groundbreaking visual albums, she has consistently pushed boundaries and set new standards. Her work goes beyond just creating popular songs. It's about creating a complete experience for her fans. This innovative approach has helped her dominate the industry, but it has also made it harder for other artists to keep up. For example, her release of Lemonade as a visual album was a game changer. Not only was the music powerful, but the visuals added an entirely new dimension to the experience, making it much more than just another album. This kind of creativity sets her apart from many other artists and has redefined what it means to be a successful musician. Next, see how Beyonce's impact reshapes the music world. Beyonce and the new music landscape. What makes Beyonce even more influential is her focus on issues like empowerment, feminism, and racial justice. Through her music and public appearances, she has become a voice for many important social issues, further solidifying her place in pop culture. This makes her not just a musical force, but a cultural icon. Competing with someone who has such a massive influence both musically and socially is no small task. But what does all of this mean for other female artists? Many people believe that the music industry has become more difficult to navigate because of Beyonce's dominance. Artists like Katy Perry, Rihanna, and Adele may have had to deal with the added pressure of trying to compete with someone who seems to have it all: talent, creativity, influence, and a loyal fan base. While it's not fair to say that Beyonce is directly responsible for other artists stepping away from music, it's clear that her success has made the landscape more challenging. At the same time, we can't overlook the fact that each artist's decision to take a break or step back from music likely involves a variety of factors. For example, Rihanna's move into the fashion and beauty world may have had as much to do with her personal interests as it did with the pressures of the music industry. Similarly, Adele has mentioned personal reasons for her hiatus, including wanting to focus on her family. Still, the influence of a figure as big as Beyonce can't be ignored. Her success has changed the way the industry operates, and it's possible that some artists feel that it's hard to compete in the same space. There's also the question of what the future holds for these artists. Will they return to the music scene? And if so, how will they approach their careers in a world where Beyonce continues to dominate? It's possible that some artists will find new ways to stand out, whether that's by exploring different genres, collaborating with other artists, or finding new creative outlets. Others might continue to focus on areas outside of music, as Rihanna has done with her businesses. It's also worth considering how new and upcoming artists will navigate this landscape. With Beyonce setting such a high bar, it might be difficult for new musicians to break through in the same way that previous generations of artists did. However, it's also possible that Beyonce's success could inspire new levels of creativity and innovation in the industry, pushing artists to think outside the box and find their own unique paths. Aaliyah's tragic death left behind many unanswered questions. As time passes, it becomes harder to believe that what happened to her was just a sad accident. There are so many things that don't quite add up about the events leading to her passing. One of the biggest questions people still ask is, who is really responsible for what happened to her? Some even wonder if her family was involved in any way, or if they were simply unaware of what was going on in her life, especially with her connection to R. Kelly. Although her family claimed they didn't know the full extent of her troubles with him, many people think they might have known more than they let on. Now we look into the mysteries of Aaliyah's untimely death, the untold links between Aaliyah and her star-studded circle. R. Kelly wasn't the only famous name tied to Aaliyah. Jay-Z was also close to her, which has led to speculation about what both men may have known about the events leading up to her death. There are also rumors about tensions between Aaliyah and other well-known stars, such as Beyonce, Brandy, and Missy Elliott. Some people wonder if there was real conflict between Aaliyah and these other artists in the months before she passed away. Why did it seem like there were issues between her and so many people just before her death? What makes Aaliyah's death even more mysterious is that many believe it wasn't just an unfortunate accident. On August 22nd, Aaliyah flew to Miami to prepare for filming her Rock the Boat music video. The director, Hype Williams, had originally planned for the shoot to take place in Miami, but at the last minute, he changed the location to the Bahamas. This sudden shift raises questions. Why the change, especially when everything in Miami was already set up? Some people believe Williams might have known more about what was going on than he let on, perhaps even about a plot against Aaliyah. What makes things worse is the fact that Aaliyah had a well-known fear of flying. She was usually accompanied by either her mother or brother whenever she traveled by plane. But this time she flew without her family. Sadly, this would be the one flight that ended in disaster. Some speculate that there was pressure on the pilot to take off even though the plane was dangerously overloaded. This adds another layer of doubt to the idea that it was all just an unfortunate accident. Digging deeper into the details of that tragic day, it's clear that the plane was carrying too much weight, which made it hard to control once it was in the air. Adding to the tragedy, it later came out that the pilot had faked some of his qualifications and was reportedly under the influence of drugs. All of this raises questions about how such an unsafe flight was allowed to take off. Could there have been something or someone behind these decisions, forcing the flight to happen in dangerous conditions? If this isn't shocking enough, there are even reports suggesting that Aaliyah was given a sleeping pill against her wishes because she had expressed concerns about the plane's safety. Allegedly, she was carried onto the plane unconscious. These claims lead many to believe that her death was no accident at all, but rather something more sinister. When you start piecing together these details, it's easy to see why people continue to question what really happened. At this point, the mystery surrounding Aaliyah's death feels like a puzzle that still needs solving. How could so many things go wrong all at once? Was there more going on behind the scenes that the public didn't know about? These lingering doubts make it hard to accept that her death was just a case of bad luck. Here we dive into the unsettling signs before Aaliyah's tragedy. Aaliyah's untold ordeals. Even Aaliyah herself seemed to have a sense that something wasn't quite right. In an interview she gave in Paris not long before her death, she described a dream that now seems unsettling in hindsight. She said that in this dream, she felt like she was being chased, but then she suddenly began to fly away, feeling free and untouchable. This eerie description seems like a reflection of her own tragic end, leaving many people to wonder if she had a sense of what was coming. Looking at Aaliyah's career, it's clear that she faced manipulation from many people, especially older men in the industry. The most disturbing example of this is her relationship with R. Kelly, which became a major scandal when it was revealed that they had secretly married when she was just 15. There were even rumors of a secret pregnancy. With such a public scandal, it seems hard to believe that her family was completely unaware of the situation. Were they really in the dark, or did they choose to look the other way? These questions don't just revolve around R. Kelly, though. Many have also wondered about the role her family played in her life and career. They were always by her side, and yet it seems like they may not have done enough to protect her from harmful influences. Could they have intervened sooner? Could they have helped her avoid the dangerous situations that ultimately led to her death? Before she was old enough, he managed to fake some documents so they could get married. This way, as his wife, Aaliyah wouldn't have to testify against him in court. One day, someone asked Aaliyah about what happened. The response was short and clear: drop it. Sadly, Aaliyah's own uncle, Barry Henderson, was the one who introduced her to R. Kelly when she was only 12 years old. After Aaliyah's tragic death, Barry received $90 million in compensation, profiting immensely. During a TV interview, there was a slip-up, mentioning this huge sum and joking about being sued since there was nothing to lose. Barry always denied knowing anything about R. Kelly's actions toward Aaliyah. Instead, he pointed fingers at Aaliyah's mother, Diane, claiming she knew everything. This sparked questions. Was Aaliyah's family involved in some way, or at least aware of what was happening? There's also Jay-Z, who appeared interested in Aaliyah too. He and R. Kelly worked closely on several projects, and their connection through Aaliyah seemed to strengthen their bond. At one of Jay-Z's parties, an attendee noticed that Jay-Z, without a date, kept his attention on Aaliyah. Their closeness was clear to everyone. Damon Dash, Aaliyah's boyfriend, later confirmed that Jay-Z was indeed interested in her, even trying to win her over, although it happened unintentionally. Was Aaliyah's family complicit or merely unaware? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more discussions like this.